Argus, the Unmaker. Let's start from here. Here is a good start. Okay, so this boss fight has 4 phases, alright? And the boss fight, in each phase, there's a titan that will help us in different ways, okay? And when the boss, he has an energy bar. When he reaches 100 energy, he does a special ability, okay? In phase 1, you fight the boss and his 100 energy special ability. In phase 2, you fight the boss with the 100 energy ability. Phase 3, the boss is gone and you fight adds only. And phase 4, you will fight the boss and he has 100 energy. And also you will be in different realms, dead and living realm. Okay. In each phase, you need to position yourself in a certain way so you can take out the boss to the next phase. Alright? In phase 1, you will tank the boss in the center, tank him faced away from the raid. The raid you stack behind boss. Alright? Then we go to what happened that phase before we go into positioning other phases. The boss will do certain ability on tanks on each phase when he is on the platform, right? And that is a swipe, okay? Half circle swipe. So only one tank in front of the boss, the other tank behind. And tank swap after 30 seconds, approximately 2 swaps, or when the BM tells you to tank swap, or depending on you as tank, if you can handle more sweeping scythe, basically. Like I said, the boss in each phase, when he is on the platform, he has an energy bar. At 100 energy, he has a special ability. The special ability on the first phase is called Cone of Death. Cone of Death is that he targets a random player, slams the ground, and it creates a cone that does damage if you stand on it. Cone of Death, right? So what do? We already stacked behind boss. So basically he will only target one position when he does it. He turns to you and you have a couple seconds to move, and that's when you move, he slams it, it's there. You move anti-clockwise or clockwise, it's up to you. But move as one and always stay with the raid. Tank, always think about to turn the boss so he's not in front of the raid, right? Always make sure that the raid is always behind the boss. The boss will also put a debuff on you. After, let's see here, after 8 seconds, it will create a pool under the ground. It will do damage, and then it will create a pool on the ground. So what do you do if you have it? You run away behind the raid, you wait until it's farted out that pool, and then you run back to the raid again. But beware that the boss will maybe have 100 energy and do that slam Cone of Death. So beware of that, so maybe you have to move to the side. It happened several times when I was testing it on many players, so that's why I'm highlighting it. Alright, what else does the boss do on this phase? He does a smash on the ground. This he does on every phase. He does a smash on the ground, and it's a raid damage. Just heal people up again, that's it. Like I said, in each phase, there's a titan that will help you out. So in phase 1, you'll have Golganeth. So what will he do? He will throw 2 orbs on 2 random players. One orb is a light orb, one orb is the dark orb. The light orb does haste, gives haste and versatility. I think it's 2000 haste and 2000 versatility. The dark one gives 2000 crit, 2000 mastery. So when he throws it on two different players, what you have to do is that the one with the light orb, you'll have it on top of your head, so you can see it very easy. You go to the boss, the one with dark orb moves away back, a little bit behind raid. Why? Because then the raid knows, what buff do I want? Do I want the light one? I go closer to boss. Do I want the dark one? I go a little bit behind, I touch it, and I go back to my position. so you get the buff basically. People that gets this buff that the Golgari throws at you, you will drop it automatically on the ground after a couple of seconds. So make sure when you get it that you just move through position, light to boss, dark a little bit behind, and have them a bit separate from each other. And then the raid can decide, where should I go? I take this or this. And that is the phase 1. So basically, if you think about this cone of death, it will be very dark, almost the entire platform, because you're going to move anti-clockwise or clockwise, right? So it's going to be dark, or the whole platform will maybe be dark, depending on the DPS as well. Maybe it'll be too dark and you die. Then that means your DPS is too low, right? You will probably take it before the boss makes the entire platform dark. Alright, so that's phase 1. When you have passed phase 1, Golganeth will take away all this black stuff. When he does that, he creates a swirl, alright, to take it away. That swirl also does damage. So directly when this second phase starts, make sure that you are close to the boss, because otherwise you get damage from the swirl that is around the platform. That's how phase 2 starts. So on tanks, it's the same thing as phase 1. He does this cleave thing in a half circle, only one tank in front of the boss, the other tank behind boss. Tanks swap around 2 approximately, 30 seconds. After 30 seconds when your debuff is gone. Same as phase 1, the boss will smash the ground, that does AoE damage. Healers just top them up again. So those two are same as phase 1. So what differs? The boss will create an orb on random locations. This orb has like a knife on it and it starts swirling or spinning. And then you will see a black line on the ground. After a couple seconds, that orb will pass that black line and do damage to anyone in that black line. So what do? You move away. Before we start with that one, we need to think about positioning of phase 2, because now, as you saw, it's a little bit different from phase 1. So phase 1, you are on the middle of platform, right? Phase 2, you will go to the top left corner and tank the boss. We're gonna come to soon why, but tank on the top left corner. Have these markers that will help a lot. Moon on the bottom left, cross bottom right, diamond on the right side, on top right side. And where do you stand? On top left side, right? That's what we're gonna tank. And as usual, raid behind the boss. Right, let's go back to phase 2, what happens. There we go, that's Silver Sky, that's the raid damage, and we talked about this one, the orb. Here comes the main thing. So, as I said, the boss has an energy bar. At 100 energy, it's the special ability, right? The special ability on phase 1 was the slam with the cone thingy. On phase 2, he will put a debuff. Not only 1, not only 2, 3 debuffs. But 2 of them are called Soul Burst. 1 is called Soul Bomb. So think just about the difference. A little bit of burst, but a big ass bomb, right? Let's go down here. If you have the burst debuff, you get a small little ball above your head. If you have the bomb debuff, you get a bigger orb above your head. Alright? After a couple seconds and you have this debuff, it will explode. The Soul Burst one, it does damage, but not that much damage. And the further away you are from the raid, the less damage the raid takes. The bomb debuff does insane damage, deadly damage. But the further away you are from the raid, the less damage they will take. Okay? So let's take about the first thing. Soul Burst, you run to each side. But one runs to Moon, one runs to Diamond. The bomb one, you run to cross. Diagonally, run to cross as fast as you can. As I said, this does deadly damage, the bomb one. And it will kill that player. But in each phase, you have a Titan. So the Titan of phase 2 is Agromar. So Agromar will periodically give a tank a big ass boost, like an Agramor boost, alright? This Agramor boost will take in the damage if he stands close to another player that takes that damage. What does that mean? The player with the soul bomb, when you run to cross away from raid, the tank that is buffed by Agramor will get a little bit like yellowish, birdish look. He has to run with that player that has the bomb, that has this big ass orb on its head. The tank needs to hug that player, because when it explodes, that explosion will go into Agramor's buff that is on the tank. So that player won't die. And then you run back again. So as tank, always think on phase 2, if you are buffed, you need to run to that player that has the big orb on it. If you have the big orb on you, you run away to cross diagonally away from everyone and stand there until you explode. You guys with a little tiny little orb on you, the soul burst, you also run, of course, but you will survive of that damage. Of course you can do some defensive on it. That will just help. And that is phase 2. Alright, let's go into phase 3. Phase 3, the boss will get like suppressed by a titan called Amanthul. Alright? He gets suppressed, you can't damage him, he can't damage you, and then he creates ads. So the boss is gone and you only have ads around you. Let me just see which one this was. Oh yeah. This is how it will look. You have a lot of ads around you. 7 ads will spawn. And if we go back now, phase 3, we go back to positioning. There we go. Since the ads will spawn around you, you stand in the middle, in the center, but spread from each other. Not stacked, spread, alright? So what will these ads do to you? One thing is Cosmic Ray. It will create a big line between that ad and the targeted player and will chase that player. And if anyone is in between, they'll get damage. So, when you have the Cosmic Ray on you, when you have a line on you, if you move away, the line will follow you. So what do you do? What do you do? When you have that on you, you stand still. As soon as you have Cosmic Ray on yourself, stand still, because then the raid can move away from you instead. Otherwise, if you move and then the raid moves and someone else moves, then everyone's going to run around like headless chickens and everyone will take damage in the end. So, Cosmic Ray, stand still. Everyone else, move away from you. Next thing that will happen are 3 things here that we're going to talk about together. Star Blast, the impending inevitability, and the Cosmic Beacon. We're going to talk about them together. Why? See if we can zoom in a little bit here. Something like that. So, Star Blast, they will shoot Star Blast all the time. They will cast it all the time. The tricky thing is that you can interrupt that. But as soon as you interrupt something on an ad, it will get immune to interrupts for 20 seconds. Alright? Another thing the boss does is Cosmic Beacon. And this will do big raid damage and a debuff on the raid. So this is what you must interrupt. Cosmic Beacon is what you must interrupt. That means if you have interrupted a Star Blast and it's immune to interrupt, and then suddenly that ad casts a Cosmic Beacon, you can't interrupt it because it's immune and then it will do a lot of damage on the raid. So that means Star Blast is a no-no for interrupt. Cosmic Beacon is a yes for interrupt. Also, if needed, have players that will interrupt, have a specific ad that it will interrupt if needed. Otherwise, just see if you can interrupt Cosmic Beacon, you do it. If you feel that that's what's wiping the raid, then assign people to interrupt those ads instead. These ads, their special ability is that they will get a weapon. Normally they stand around you and they cast Star Blast, Cosmic Beacon and all this stuff, right? But sometimes they get a weapon. One weapon is called a cosmic weapon. It's a two-hand big sword. The other weapon is a eternal weapon, and they're like two daggers swords, sort of. When they get weapons, that means they go into melee mode. So tanks, as soon as they get the weapon, you pick one each, because two will get the weapon. Two will get the weapon, and you pick up one each. The one with the big sword, the cosmic one, if it stands close to other players, other adds, it will buff itself and them. All right. I'm not sure if it buffs itself, but it at least buffs other adds. You don't want that. So what do? When you pick up that add with the big sword, you tank it in the middle, away from everything. The player, the tank that takes up the eternal add with the daggers, you run away from the middle, and maybe run away to another add for cleave damage or something like that. But main thing is, do not stand in the middle with the other add. Only the add with the cosmic weapon, the big two-hand sword, stands in the middle. No other add. Then you probably think, should we DPS it? Should we nuke it? What should we nuke? We will come to that now. Norganon, the Titan, will help you in this fight. He will put a debuff on these adds, alright? This debuff increase damage by 200% taken. So you do 200% more damage on the add when it has the debuff. But there is a but. Each debuff is for a certain magic school, right? So if you have fire, frost, shadow, arcane, etc. So you will see an orb on their head that represents what debuff they have. If it's a fire orb, it takes more fire damage, etc. For example. Of course, if you click on it, you will see exactly what debuff it has. Now comes an important thing. I don't know if every player, every class can do damage on a certain debuff to do that takes more damage from you. Meaning, if you can do certain damage and there is no debuff that fits for you, I don't know. Theoretically, it must be, because otherwise people will only pick up players that can do increased damage on fire, increased damage on frost, arcane, shadow, etc. Especially on pugs. If you go through like more serious guilds, you'll be benched. So I believe that each player must have some kind of damage that they can do on a specific add that it takes 200% increased damage from you. Otherwise, hell will break loose on forums. That is the third phase. You kill the adds, done. Then you come into fourth and last phase, my friends. And in this phase, the boss will kill you. You are dead. You start a phase that he comes back and he kills you. When you die, you will be in the spirit world. You'll be on the same platform, but everything will be like gray, spirity. You will see a green tree. If you enter that tree, you come back to the living realm. Alright? So who does this? Who helped you? It's Eonar, that Titan. So when you enter the tree, you come back to the living realm. We're gonna start what happens in the living world first. That's where the boss is. If we talk about positioning first on this phase, it's the exact same positioning as phase 2. Top left corner, and you have these markers still, because as you can see, Soul Burst and Soul Bomb will actually be in this phase. Alright, so you come to the living world. Boss will do more or less same thing on tanks, but now that stack you get as a tank, it won't go away. It will always be there. So what do you do as tanks? One tank the boss. Tank it as much as possible until you die. Alright? And that's when a tank swap happens. When you die, you come to the spirit world, and there you can go back through the tree back to the living world. And that's how you will swap all the time. We're gonna come back to the spirit world because there's something you have to do there as well. Alright, volatile soul is the same thing as before. It's the debuff, the soul burst, and this bomb, big orb debuff on your head. When you run away with the bomb, before you got the tank boost from Agramor, right? That will take in the damage you got. Now, Agramor is not there. So what do? You die. When you run with the big soul bomb orb away from raid, you're gonna die from it. So what happens? You come into the spirit world. So tank comes to the spirit world with a tank swap. Player with the debuff, the soul bomb debuff, will also come to the spirit world. What else would happen? This is the image of that. What else would happen? Same thing, boss will smash the ground. Every phase he smashes the ground from time to time. Big AoE damage, raid damage that will just heal up. This platform, when you fight the boss, you're gonna get bombarded by like ember rocks. And these swirls you see on the ground, it's how to look before it lands. So always move away from that. And it will be a lot of them. Just beware of that. Also, another thing that happens in this phase, an orb or several orbs will spawn. They have a cast time or so, a 20-second cast. While they're casting this, a black pool will spawn under them, and this black pool will get bigger and bigger. After 20 seconds, when you're done casting it, it will pulse, like explode. It will do raid damage, and anyone in that black pool will more or less die because it's very high damage on it. So what do we do as players? As soon as we see them, you have to nuke them. When we nuke one, fragments will fall into the spirit world that we need later. When we nuke one, next time orb spawn, it will spawn an extra one. So beware of that. So what can we do? Nuke one, just damage some other ones. When you damage other ones, the pool won't get that big. So beware of that. So you just have to balance how many you should kill or destroy and how many you should just damage, because it will be more and more orbs every time they spawn. Alright, so that was the living world. So what happens when you die? Anyone can die and come back to the living world. But you should not die. Only players that will die 100%, which were they? The tank with a tank swap and the bomb, soul bomb debuff. Those are the ones that will die 100%. In this spirit world, certain things will happen. You have the tree, gift of life. Every time you enter that tree to get back resurrected, that tree has a power bar, and that power bar will go down every time you use it to get resurrected, right? When it goes down to 0, it'll turn gray and withered. And when it's withered, you can still use it to get resurrected. But then the tree gets damaged because it gets a debuff that stacks. You can heal the tree, but the problem is if you use it, if you still gets resurrected, more stacks will come on the tree, and eventually you can't heal it anymore, and it will die basically. What else happens in the spirit world? You have these small ads, the hungering soul ads. If you touch them, you get 50% decreased movement speed for 8 seconds. When you kill the orbs on living realm, like I said, fragments will fall on the dead realm, which is modes of titanic power. When you are dead, pick these up, because after you pick up 20, you will boost a titan, and that titan will boost you back, and that boost will give you 15% extra healing, 15% extra damage, and give you movement speed. So you get like really boosted after pick up these orbs. And that's when you bloodlust. Because you will get boosted with the bloodlust to be like insane, right? So when you're dead, you pick these up because you want to collect these fragments to get up to 20. So who should only be dead? The tank, because of tank swap, and a raid player because of the soul bomb. No one else should die. If someone else should die, it happens. But then what do? Pick up some motes, these fragments, before you leave, just so you have done at least something good after you died, right? But only tank and the player with a debuff should only be dead and use that tree. Because as I said, that tree got a power bar and you don't want it to get withered. If you get withered, you don't want to die, because if that dies, you can't come back to the living realm if you're a tank. And also, if you're a player, you can also not come back. And that is the fight, my friends. It's a long fight with many things. What I haven't checked though is what of this will come on normal, what of this will come on heroic. So I'm gonna double check that just to point that out, because there's some things that I think is not normal abilities. One of them, I'm not sure now, but one of them I think is this orb. It feels that this is too heavy ability to be a normal mode ability. Otherwise, I think in this phase it will be that. The other phases, it's hard to say. Maybe some damage here and there, but in general, I think it will be more or less the same. Alright, my friends, that was the tacts for Argus the Unmaker. So what's gonna happen now? On Wednesday, I'm gonna have a viewer raid. And that viewer raid will start